Was today will be better. Yeah. We were talking about how to mix your music in a way that it works with the vocals because last time Anthony was sharing the track and I instantly felt that there was like a little thing about the vocals. I will just go for my full cam onto my. Oh no, here we go. Here we go. All right, everyone. Here we go. Um, you should be able to hear this through my interface. And yeah, now he shared a track what was with Japanese vocals, and I just felt that it was a mixing, balancing thing, and something. I told him he just should send me over the stems, and I just did my vocal processing for the vocals, and this is what we will do right now. First of all, this is the raw sound. I just disabled every plugin, and we just have a listen to the raw music.
僕らはここまで来た。それは偶然ではない。この記憶、この気持ち、それを克服した。僕らは強くなってた。より良い生活を送った。その将来、その願い、未来は夢ではない。君が疑いを持っている時、一人ではないこと忘れないで。愛してる、抱きしめる、大切にする。気分晴れるまで。君がとても悲しい時、永遠ではないこと忘れないで。きっと消える、きっと変わる。今日は良くなる。
All right, I love the what is the word for it? The hook here, but it's not a hook. It's not a verse. It's not a hook. What is that? What is the word? I just lost the word. The refrain. Yeah, the chorus. The chorus. Yeah. Not, yeah, exactly. The chorus. It was the chorus. Thanks, everyone. All right. So first of all, what I did, and I think maybe you have heard it. I just disable every instrument here as well. But something I did was having a master bus compressor, which is an emulation from Slate Digital of the unique Fairchild 670 master bus. Actually, a mastering compressor. Then we have a tape simulation by Waves. I really love them, especially the mastering clean and open. But you just have to. It's very noisy. I just always when I work with tape, I just turn down the noises. I don't want noise here. And yeah, something I do before I master something is just taking from the mix around 4 or 3 decibels of high shelf, but this doesn't matter for here. So we just have these two plugins. Now have a listen with the difference. I know that it will be louder, and loudness affects how we feel it. So if it's louder, we're just going for it's better. But usually, let's have a listen how it, without any processing of the stems here with vocals and to track, it just sounds better if I just open up the master bus.
それを克服した。僕らは強くな
first of all, yes, it is getting louder, but also it adds a little more high end and it makes it a little wider, just a little, makes it wider. That's the first thing. What this it's brighter and it's open. Exactly. This is the thing. It's a bit louder, but it's also brighter. And it's clarity. This is just this compressor and the tape what makes the difference. Now we just focus on the instrumental track at first, and I have two plugins. I've been using virtual channel emulation of a British N console, which is a Neve. You can see it here. It is not doing very much, but it's just a work routine to make it sound a little more that it would be recorded and mixed on a real console. And then for this track, I choose 4000E console by Plugin Alliance. And something I just did is making it sound a little more analog with a little more distortion and analog saturation, because I just turned down the output and increased the input, which just slightly affects the sound of the track. As you can see, every knob is on 0, so it's not working that much. It's just giving it a little analog feeling. Now comes the processing of the vocals. First of all, we talk about the reverb. Reverb.
僕らはここまで来たそれは
You can hear there is reverb inside without doing anything. So he put a good amount of reverb. It's a very likely amount of reverb. I really like it. Sometimes it's more of an exploration, but I really learned very fast that mixing with exploration lead to an open end that will never end. I really, really strongly try to have the final product in my mind when I listen to it, and I instantly know this EQ, this compressor, this thing will lead to this final sound. When the sound is final and I don't like it, then I just try to explore a bit, and I'm just like using a different compressor, using a different equalizer, and then I'm exploring. But usually I don't explore at all because this leads to an open end. This is just a waste of time then. Yeah, the reverb. It's a good amount of reverb inside, but let's have a listen. If I just open up my... I use the R4, and this is the 32 short plate. It's a very short plate, and I just EQ'd the reverb, low end out, and also the bright frequencies at 11.4K are just EQ'd out. And have a listen on the difference.
僕らはここまで来たそれは偶然では
It's not that loud, but it's a difference.
僕らはここまで
This is the reverb what's going here. It's more tail, exactly. And something I also did is using the Dimension D, the R2 Dimension D, to make it sound wider. It's like a chorus effect. Let's have a listen.
僕らはここまで来たそれは偶然ではないこの記憶この気持ち
Usually you won't hear a big difference, but if I solo that,
僕らはここまで来たそれは
it's just a little effect to make it fit more and better into the whole track. No, it is clipping. It is clipping. At some parts it's just clipping, but it's not the audio itself, because as you can see there's enough headroom left. So I think it's just oversaturated at one part of the recording. It might be by accident or by by intention. Let me just see. It's interesting when I mix the vocal myself. I somehow like it dry without instruments, but it's too dry when I'm on top of it. Yeah, definitely. This is on vocals. This is a very difficult thing sometimes because if you do too much, it sounds in that one way, and this is why a mixing engineer can help because I'm objective on that. Um, exactly, makes it sound like a vinyl record. Um, as an objective person, I try to hear what was your intention with the track, and I try to match it best way possible. And then when you get it back and you're like, oh, this is awesome. This is maybe something if you have had the tools, you might not be approached because you're biased to the version what you have in mind. And this is something because this is why a mastering engineer should always a different person than a mixing engineer, because if the mixing engineer has one thing in mind and he's mastering the track, there's nothing what changes. But if the mastering engineer, that little guy who's polishing the last percent out of it, if that's a different person, he is most likely there to bring you an objective ear and make the best sound possible. And this is a perfect way to approach. It's perfectly. Then we go for the vocal approach. First of all, we have a de-esser, which is mandatory at the. I use the de-esser in the first part of the chain. In the chain, have a listen. What happens?
僕らはここまで来た
It's
それ
inside.
は
It's nothing much here. And this is good because this is just meant for very high sibilants like the S and the very high ones. It also should not interfere with a general vocal sound. That's why it's very slightly, not that much of a threshold, more likely towards -20. Then we have at the mixing part here the same thing I did for the instrumental track to just pull it a little bit of the analog console. Then we have the 4000E as well, again to make it more analog sounding. I use on vocals always a high pass up to 120 hertz, but this one is a very soft high pass, so it's not hard cutting away everything. It's just a very soft one, so you can go a little higher on that. Usually for a female voice up to 150, you should not go higher, because this makes it sound very artificial then. I just reduced the 3.3K. This is a very, very, very harsh frequency. I just boosted that you can hear it.
ない未来は夢ではない君が疑いを持っている時
Even if I cut it out by -15 decibels, it sounds super strange, but it sounds good because these harsh frequencies out of it.
ない未
And also on the female vocals, 444 hertz, -4 decibels. Works super fine here. Less robotic. Exactly. Then we go for the next equalizer, my favorite one. This is a roll off of the low frequencies. And the same thing. I didn't EQ the voice at all. Just 11.6 kilohertz, 13 kilohertz, and 8 kilohertz. Just these high frequencies. Have a listen if I just bypass this.
ない未来は夢ではない君が疑いを持っている時一人ではないこと忘れないで
It is losing brightness, and therefore I will just increase it by 1 decibel here in the air part.
ない未来は夢ではない
But it's more pleasing for the ear to listen if these harsh frequencies are out of it. If I just EQ the harsh frequencies out, I can make the vocals louder and bring them into the mix because I don't have to care, because I know all the harsh frequencies are out of it. And to if you do this too much, you lose brightness, and this is why you can increase the brightness with this air knob.
ない未来は
Because even if I add the brightness here, I don't have too much brightness because the harsh frequencies of the brightness are out. Then the most important part is coming here. We have a little saturation. We have two compressors. I'm a big fan of the two compressing model because the first compressor is really hard when it goes really straight into it, and it breaks down all these the super dynamic layers. And the second one is, as you can see, it is just a very slow peak, very less peak reduction, but it makes this little it makes a difference. Have a listen.
ない未来は夢ではない君が疑いを持っている時一人ではないことはす
And this is the part why we need to make these harsh frequencies out of it, because the compressors make it really really hard. They make it really good. And have a listen if I would not EQ these high frequencies out.
ない未来は夢ではない君が疑いを持っている時一人ではない
It makes a difference. It makes a difference. And then also the J37 tape, and it's just the default preset I was using here. And let's have the listen, the balance of it together. I'll start with the effects off.
僕らはここまで来たそれは偶然ではないこの記憶この気持ちそれを克服した僕らは強くなってたより良い生活を送ったその生涯その願い未来は夢ではない君が疑いを持っている時一人ではないこと忘れないで愛してる抱きしめる大切にする気分晴れるまで君がとても悲しい
It is just if I bypass all the effects, you can hear that the voice is quite a bit loud. And this is the thing: if the voice would go quieter, it would not match at all parts. And this is why the compressors have a mandatory role in every vocal production. You need to make the vocals fit